Because let me ask you this. Have you ever been with a potential client absolutely convinced that you were the best? You had the best product, the best service, or you just knew that you were the best person for this job. You delivered that pitch, convinced you had a fighting chance, and then you waited for that email, and there it was in your inbox with those words, those beautiful words, "We regret to inform you." Or worse, they didn't even bother to let you know. If you've been there, raise your hand in the air and say, "I." We've all been there, haven't we? And let me tell you something. I was there more times than I care to remember. I would go in, do what I thought was a great pitch, only to lose it, often to somebody that I really thought was offering less value. And I'll never forget losing a major deal for an organization I just knew I would have been able to add great value to. And losing it and working out my frustration at the gym, it just struck me. If I was so convinced that my offering was better and I lost it, then clearly it's not enough having the best product. You've got to have the best pitch. Anybody remember that film from the 1980s with Kevin Costner? Costner plays the small-town farmer. His real dream is baseball, and he wants to convert the farm into a baseball pitch. And like any entrepreneur, he's struggling with that dilemma. I mean, he could do it, win big, or lose everything. And while he's struggling with this dilemma, these words come to him, which have kind of become a rallying cry for entrepreneurs everywhere. Does anybody remember those words? Build it, and they will come. Aren't they beautiful, those words? Yeah? But I mean, I, as a kid, watched that, and I was so inspired. I just thought, man, all I really need to do is just build my skills and do something great. Just bring value into the world. Build something beautiful, and they will come. Build it, and they will come is a lie. It's a beautiful lie, yeah. But it is a lie. Build it, pitch it better than anyone else, and only then, maybe they'll come. If you're anything like me, you've spent a lot of your life building your skills, building your products, your services, your value, and you are passionate about that. And maybe, like me, all you've really thought is, hey, just be great at what you do. Just be great. Well, great is not good enough. It's not great. It's not good enough being great at what we do. We've got to be great at pitching what we do. And you might think that sucks. I thought it sucked. All I wanted to do was deliver and create, right? You're part of an organization, and you know you've got great value. You just want to deliver it. Well, that's a fantasy, one that we see in a Hollywood movie. Reality is different. Imagine bringing a life-saving drug into the world, a drug that cures a form of cancer. You wouldn't have to pitch that, right? I mean, people would be beating down your door to get that drug. It cures cancer, right? Right? Wrong. I did a lot of work with pharmaceutical companies. Do you know that pharmaceutical companies spend more money pitching, marketing those life-saving drugs than they do researching and developing them? Now, if that is true for a drug that cures a form of cancer, then surely it has got to be true for you and I. And when I faced that reality, man, I dug deep into every book and program on pitching and marketing and selling that I could find. See, my mission, the reason I'm on this planet, is I equip and I inspire people and organizations to realize their potential. I've done this over many years through the various books that I've written, the programs that I delivered. But the way I saw it is that if I could not pitch, then I would not be able to fulfill my mission. So I would have to figure this out. And as I started to put this together for myself, my results exploded. I pitched and won my own CNBC Africa television talk show. I pitched and won publishing deals that I don't ever dreamt of, and my own results exponentially increased. And I thought, mission accomplished. Really had no intention. I never thought I'd be writing a book or teaching this at all. And then I get a call from one of my clients, EY, Ernst & Young, the accounting firm, and they asked me to come and do the keynote presentation at their conference. And afterwards, the CEO called me up and he said, look, we got to go pitch for, it was actually Barclays Bank. In fact, the London office had lost this business, and this was now the African office who had to now pitch for it. And he said, look, we don't feel we've got more than a 20% chance of winning, so we want to try something different. That's often when people call me. And I was a little bit nervous because, no offense to any accountants present, but accountants aren't known as the most scintillating communicators. And now he wanted me to work with him. I was like, if an accountant's wife can't fall asleep, she says to her husband, darling, tell me about your day. Like, how do you make pitching a quality audit anything different? I mean, it doesn't get more commoditized than a quality audit, right? So I said to him, look, I haven't done this before, but okay, let's try it out. Yeah? And I worked with them for a few days. And one of the things that I did, and it was so great to hear Simon talking about story, because that is the heart of what I teach as well. I used to be a script writer many, many years ago. I even wrote a script for a Hollywood movie. And so for me, story is absolutely key. And one of the things that I did is I got the guys to get rid of all their PowerPoint. You know, the PowerPoint is for people with no power and no point. Guilty as charged. But it's how we use it, of course. So we stripped out all those PowerPoint slides. And what I got them to do was just share their authentic, real, emotional story. And, you know, you've heard from Simon, the neuroscience on this is absolutely unequivocal. Do you know that people will remember about 10% of the facts? But 10% of people will remember the facts, but over 60% of people will remember the story, and that's because of the emotional connection that is made. And the other thing, and we've heard this again and again today, we heard it from Jeremy, people don't want to be sold to, right? Do you wake up, you know, on a Saturday morning and say, I want to go to the high street and be sold? No. But you wake up and say, I want to go to the high street and buy stuff? Sure, right? And this is because of the reactance effect. Have you noticed there's 3 ways to get something done? 1, do it yourself. 2, pay someone. 3, forbid your teenagers. There's a teenager inside every single one of us, right? It's our free will. It's our aversion to avert persuasion. Now, the beautiful thing about story, it puts them in the buyer zone, right? Because you're not asking anybody to do anything. If you told an effective story, they make up their mind themselves, right? One of the things we often hear is, and again, Simon made this point beautifully, is how we will often go in there and tell people about us. Margaret Thatcher, she said, if you have to tell people you're a lady, you probably aren't one. I'm waiting for somebody to tell Donald Trump that if you have to tell people you're a stable genius, you might not be. The point is, with stories, you don't have to tell people anything because you're just giving them what? Essentially a case study, right? So these guys just told their story, and at the end, remember they were pitching to fellow accountants, the audit committee stood and applauded, and they won that business. And that's when it occurred to me that if my mission was to equip people to realize their potential, well, if you can't pitch your potential, you're not going to be able to realize it.